What's up, peeps? Welcome back to another episode of Chillin with Dylan. And this one is a very, very special one for me because I got my main man, my homeboy, bestie, brother, Baby J.
You know the vibes.
That's it.
You know the vibes. Call
Ready
Cortes.
to roll. That's it. He's already advertised in the first 30 seconds. There we go. So basically, the goal of these videos is just to kind of walk through what it's like to get started in real estate, what it's like to do this business in real life, and not the HGTV version, and not the, oh, it's all rainbows and sunshine, because sometimes there's rats and snakes and bats and all kinds of creatures that come into play, ain't they?
Naked men.
Yeah. Oh, that too. Yeah. We forgot about that one. Lord. So basically, we're just going to kind of run through some questions. So Johnathan has not been prepped for this in any way, shape, or form. So we're just freestyling right here because that's how my man rolls with all of it.
That's right.
So I guess we're just going to dive right on in. So to get started, tell us a little bit about who you are, how long you've been in real estate.
So, my name is Johnathan Cortes, Keller Williams, Lanier Partners. You know the vibes. But listen, so I have been in the real estate business for, if you're including how long it took me to take my test, I would say, okay, so I've been a little over a year. I've been doing real estate full time. I'll say probably about 9 months. I've been going at it pretty full time. Probably about
you're close to
a year. Yeah, full time. Just doing real estate full time. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Cool. So, what made you want to get into real estate?
Well, the real reason is whenever I became a homeowner, I learned a lot through the process. I learned a lot of things that were very exciting to me to be able to, help people, because there's a lot of things that you don't know when buying a home. Mm-hmm. And my first home, I didn't even use a real estate agent. It was a private transaction with a friend, but there was a lot of things that I probably could have negotiated a little bit more and been able to, have better rates, whatever it may be. But the second go around, whenever I bought, me and my wife and my family, whenever we bought, there was a lot of things that were very much missed. I did work with the real estate agent. I think he was very busy doing what he was doing, and there was a lot of things that I feel like I had to kind of step in and do. Yep. And while I did that, I learned a lot through the process of, wow, there is a lot of work that it takes to build in a home. Mm-hmm. Not only when it comes into inspections and getting certain things passed through, it's a lot, right, to say the least. It's a process. So, as you know, I was in the medical field, so helping people has always been a passion of mine. Mm-hmm. It's very in me to care for people.
And you were in medical for what? 14 years?
14 years.
15 years? Yeah.
Almost 15 years. And I started from the bottom. Right. I did the most.
Worked your way up.
Worked my way up. Yeah. I have a lot of friends in the medical field. I've made amazing friends, met a lot of sweet, patients, a lot of people that touched my heart for sure. So the reason, to answer your question, why I got into real estate is because I genuinely just want to help people. I always thought that it was based off of medical, that's the only way you can help people. But this is actually a stressful and
it's
important,
a crazy time for people.
It's a very, most definitely.
And plus, all the situations that we deal with, I mean, there's people who have passed away and they're needing to sell the family member's house. There's divorce situations. There's financial situations. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. And then there's also the happy ones where it's first-time home buyer. It's a little bit of everything, but it's a very, very stressful time for people. And, again, everybody has, like, the HGTV picture of, like, oh, you show 3 and you cut to close. And
that's not true.
And somebody's a goldfish breeder and the other person's a stay-at-home parent full-time and they have a $5 million budget. And that's just not exactly how the real world works with all of it.
It is not. And I will say one thing about that is, just like in the medical field, you see people at their worst. But in real estate, it's also the same way, because like he was saying, not every transaction is everybody's happy and, all exciting, right, which it is an exciting thing, but there is situations that is hard, and you see people at their lowest. And when you're dealing with people at their lowest, there's a lot of things that you as a realtor, as their agent, you have to have heart. You have to have compassion. You have to have, there's days that I feel like I'm a counselor. There's days that I feel
100%.
like I'm a lawyer
We
at some
basically have a
point.
psychology degree,
Yes,
a law
we
degree,
most definitely,
and a business degree,
and a business degree,
and a math degree.
Yes, most definitely
and a home
math.
inspector degree.
Yes.
We're just jacks of all trades.
We all jacks of all
here,
trades. So the stuff you see on HDTV,
yeah, not quite it.
Not quite it.
Yep.
Most definitely.
So, Jay, let's take a trip back down memory lane to when you very first got started and all this craziness. And just to reference it, since we're here, it did take Johnathan a hot minute to get through the state exam process. And the thing that I want to point out, we ain't going to talk about how many times that you had to take it on there, is fine. But the thing I want to point out on that is about persistence with all of it. And we have a lot of agents, or a lot of people that I've come into contact with over the years that I think have a ton of potential to do this, to kill it in this, and that test can really trip some people up. So it's important that if you want to do this, keep on pushing through with all of it. And a lot of times, every time you take that test, it's different. You're never going to get the same one twice. Some of them are harder, some of them are not quite as bad. So just keep on trucking forward with it. And Jay is the perfect example of that, because that just shows how much that he wanted it, because he really fought to get this real estate license. So kudos to you for keeping on going with all of it. So back when you were getting started, which to me, sometimes it feels like yesterday, sometimes it feels like it was a decade ago. So we've been through a lot together in these past couple of years with everything. But what was it like when you were getting started? What were some of the things that you struggled with right out of the gate? What were some things that were unexpected for when you actually started rolling in real estate?
I think once I started, I think the biggest struggle that I had was just the fact that when I first started, which not a lot of agents have this, is I had clients right away. So it wasn't like I had the time to be able to learn. Like, I knew obviously about the real estate, but I didn't know the actual process.
And the textbook version of real estate is not the real life version of real estate. So what you learn in pre-licensing is important, and it gives you a good basis to understand the principles of how things work, the laws, all that kind of stuff. But they do not teach you how to write contracts. They do not teach you how to run a real estate business. They don't teach you how to price properties. All of that comes into play after the fact. And that's why, for those of you who are looking at getting into this, it's very important that you go with a brokerage that has the support, that has the training, that has the things in place to help get you up and going. Because if you're going solely based on what you learned on your PSI state exam, you in for a rude awakening when you get into all of this.
Huge.
And also, you ain't never going to do an amortization table in real life on your own. So just throwing that out there while we go into. But anyways, yeah, first 90 days.
So that was probably one of the biggest things, because I believe I had a client the first day I passed my exam, the day I got my license.
We wrote a listing agreement.
We wrote up a listing agreement.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an email with Keller Williams yet. I didn't have nothing on the system was even done yet. I was already part of the team, but I wasn't, like, it takes a process, to get everything up and running. So that was probably one of the hardest things, because, I had to kind of learn as I went. Kudos to Dylan, this man right here, helped with all of it. I would not be where I'm at if it wasn't for my man right here. But we'll talk about that later. I'm sure there's questions about that. But, that was probably one of the hardest things, is the fact that I just didn't know how to do it. And me as a person, I like to do things on my own. I'm very let me figure it out. I'll learn about it. I'm very, I learn quick as I'm doing things. But in this type of industry, it's more about experience, and it's more about every situation is a different situation. So every situation that I was getting hit with, I was learning as I went. But it was frustrating, because I always had to, like, hey, Dylan, what do I do about this? Hey, Dylan, this came up. Hey, it was a lot, which... And
you were working the first 4 or 5 months on top of that. So Johnathan was going in and clocking into a job at, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then working all day. And we were trying to get all this done, at 10 o'clock at night most of the time, because he also has 3 kids in the midst of this, too.
Yes.
So it was a lot to juggle while we were getting started on all of it. And again... Just going back to the point of when you go to get started in real estate, you need to make sure that you have somebody or some place where you're going to have some support in all of it. Because
most definitely.
that's
Most
a lot
definitely.
of it. And another point before I forget it, so he did have a listing ready to go on like day one coming into all of this, but part of the reason for that is because he wasn't waiting until he got the exam to be telling people like, hey, I'm getting my real estate license. Like,
No.
all throughout that process, and that's something that I tell people that I talk to all the time. If you're wanting to do this for real and you want to hit the ground running, you need to be telling people, like, as soon as you decide I'm signing up for the real estate classes, you need to start letting all your friends, all your family know. Because even if you do have a client on day one, Jay's moved a little bit quicker, I feel like, when you got started, but a lot of times it's, 45, 60, 90 days out before you have somebody that's going to actually be sitting at the closing table. So even if you do have that client coming into this, you ain't getting paid for 2 or 3 months before all of it happens, and that's if you have somebody on day one. So the more that you start having those conversations, the more that you talk to people, the better off you're going to be in the long run with all of it.
Right. And to this day, very true what he's saying, because whenever I was getting my license, I remember telling my first clients that I would never forget. Shout out Chris,
Yeah.
Connie, very good friends of mine. I remember telling them, like, guys, please don't give up on me. Hang in there. I'm about to pass. Like, I'm so close. Because they were, they have their plans.
Right.
They needed to move. They wanted to do their thing. But I'm so thankful for them. We'll never forget them. They're, being my first clients. They kind of went through the journey that I went through. And I'm just so thankful for them, So, yeah, communication's very important. It wasn't the only ones I spoke to. But, yeah, I was letting people know already, like, hey, like, I'm coming.
Right.
So,
yeah,
totally agree.
Were there any misconceptions that you had coming into this? Like, was it, when you were getting started, was it, like, really different from what you thought that it was going to be once
100%.
you actually got up and going?
100%.
Tell me more about that.
Of all, in all different scenarios, on a business perspective, you are your business. This is your business. There's a lot of responsibilities that comes along with it. There's a lot of, you have to be very organized. You have to have a good team behind you that helps you, guide you, which I'm very thankful that I chose, Keller Williams to be a part of. Because if I would have went anywhere else, the experience probably would have been different. So I'm very thankful that I was able to choose a good brokerage that was able to, guide me and to where I needed to be. But the financial part, it's also very awakening. People think, they're getting 3% and, they make all this money. But there's a lot of money that we also pay for. There's a lot of money that we're paying for our photographers, that we're paying for the listings, that we're paying for marketing, that we're paying for our brokerage. Money is not as how people think it could be. Financially, it was a big awakening. I remember, like, I got to pay how much again for this? Signs, there's a lot of costs. There's a lot of costs.
Again, it's a mindset thing going into it. And this is something that if you ever come and take career night with us, if you ever sit through orientation with me, the first thing that I'm going to say is, like, you have to not look at this as, I'm a real estate agent. You have to look at this as, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm starting a business and I'm opening up a business. And with any business that you're going to open, you're going to have expenses that come into play. And while there are things that come into all of it, real estate, to me, your startup cost is actually, like, pretty low. You pay $400 for a course, if that. You're paying normally $120 for an exam. Johnathan paid a little bit more for exams along the way. We won't talk about that. Let's just say he had a good tax write-off for 2024. And there's different things that come into play like that. But honestly, it's not super, super crazy to get it started. But like he just said, a lot of people think, I'm going to get my real estate license and I'm going to be driving around in a Lexus in a day or two because, like, it's going to be making bank, which Johnathan was driving around in a new truck in 3 months. And the expense part of it is a little bit different. And that's something, too, where you need to do your full research going into it. And honestly, like, my thing that I always tell people, especially if you're looking to dive full-time into real estate, you have got to have some savings in place. Ideally, like 6 to 12 months savings in place. Because even if you have somebody that gets under contract, we never know that a deal's going to make it to the table until you're sitting at the table. And we've had experiences, Johnathan, I know, has had experiences where, like, literally it's the night before closing and somebody's saying, like, I'm not showing up tomorrow, like, this isn't going to happen. And, if you're sitting there and that's your one source of income that you're banking on, that can be a little bit rough on there. So it's important to set yourself up financially and to, make sure that you think through when it's the time to make the jump full-time into this. And a lot of agents do start working a full-time job on top of real estate, just like Johnathan did. And so if you're looking at doing that, like, that is A-okay. And as a coach, I've had people ask me before, like, oh, well, do you think I'm ready? When do you think I should go full time? I'm never going to answer that question for you because that's different for every single person. And what my tolerance level for risk is probably different than your tolerance level for risk. And at the same time, whatever you put into this is what you will get out of it. So if you come into this, and I think I said this on every podcast thing that we've recorded so far, but if you're waiting on that Wizard of Oz moment where the house falls out of the sky and you get to stick a for sale sign in front of it, I'm going to pray every day that happens for you. And yet that's typically not how things come into play. Like, you have to do the work, you have to talk to people, you have to put yourself out there. And sometimes that takes a couple of months before you really start seeing results. I mean, like, the national average is agents close 2 transactions in their first year. Like, that's the average across the United States. We do our best to help you get up and running. More than that, we're going to talk about Jonathan's numbers here in just a second, and that'll give you more of a reason as to why I wanted to make sure that we did something with him to kind of just show, like, to me, Johnathan is one of the top examples of what a ideal first year in real estate looks like. I'm not just saying that because he's my bestie and he's sitting here. The numbers are the numbers with all of it, and we'll dive more into that here in just a second. So what's one of the biggest changes you had to make in how you do business to do the business that you're doing now?
Well, I think presentation is probably one of the biggest ones. Just how I present myself, because at the end of the day, like, I'm the type of person that I'm very genuine. And I am who I am, and money or jobs or anything like that's not going to change who I am as a person. But in this type of industry, there is certain things that you do have to kind of tweak, and you do have to make sure that you're still being professional, you're still having a good image, because at the end of the day, this is my business, but I also have I'm behind KW, I'm with KW, so it's like I have to kind of be a little bit more on the PG side of things whenever it comes to certain things. My mouth gets me in trouble, to say the least. I say what I say, how I feel, and I let it out. Sometimes, that goes well for certain people, and sometimes it doesn't. So that's one thing that I've probably have been working on a lot, to try to be more, careful of how I word things and how I say things is probably one of my biggest.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the answer I would have thought she would give, but that's good. But and one thing too, and I'll mention this in what Johnathan just said. Everybody's an independent contractor in this business. So regardless of what brokerage that you're at, if you have a real estate license, like, you are the business owner. Like, you have a brokerage that's behind you, that's backing you. Yes, you use the logos and stuff, but you are the business person. So, like, Jonathan's business is different than my business, is different than Brittany's business, is different than Shay's business, different than everybody. And to me, that's a great thing about all of this, because everybody has a different flavor. Everybody has a different thing that they're looking for when they're going to work with an agent. And so I think that's a great thing, and I always bring that up because a lot of people will say when they're thinking about getting into real estate, like, oh, well, there's 558 agents within a 1 mile radius. Why would I want to go get a real estate license? I don't know everybody that you know. Johnathan don't know everybody that you know. I don't know everybody that Johnathan knows. He don't know everybody that I know. There's plenty of business to go around for everybody. And if you're doing the right things, if you're putting people first, if you come at it from a how can I help you, what can I do to move you forward, what can I do to help get you and your family in a better situation, the rest of it takes care of itself. Correct. Because the best way to generate business is going to be word of mouth and referrals, and having people that say, like, hey, I worked with Dylan did a really great job, you should go and talk to him. Hey, I worked with Johnathan blew it out of the water, you need to go and work with Johnathan. That is the best kind of business referral that you can ever get. That's going to always beat out any kind of lead generation that you're doing. So with that being said, it is important that you figure out what you want your business to look like. And it's okay if it's different. It should be different, because you don't want to just copycat what everybody else is doing. I think within KW, we try to really balance that from a coaching and a teaching perspective, because we always say that you want to be, systems based and then add the creativity on top of it. So at the end of the day, real estate is real estate. Whether Jonathan's writing your contract, if I'm writing your contract, if Joe Schmo's writing your contract, like, we're all going to do the same general process, but we have a little bit of a different way that we're going to do it. But it's important, especially as an agent when you're getting started, that you get that good foundation in place, that you learn your forms, that you learn what you're doing, that you know how to price appropriately, that you know all the things for marketing and have a good system in place. And then once you have those things, then you can start building on top of it. And Johnathan has done a great job of that, and something that he's like working on even more right now is, how do we ramp this up to the next level? He's been through enough transactions where he knows what he's doing. He's been able to figure out a lot of situations. He's not having to ask some of the more basic questions. And now it's like, okay, well, what can I do to make this more of a system? What can I do to roll this out a lot more easily? What can I do to spend less time on this on the next go round? And so it's just something that we teach on the creativity side of it. But that's kind of getting off in the weeds about branding stuff, but just something that I wanted to mention in there that kind of plays in with that. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things, what he was saying about, helping people and the people that you work with, and there's a lot of agents, that is very true. And people I know is not the same as people that Dylan knows, that any other agent may know. But one of the most important things is people that know you are going to be the best people that you can work with because they already have an establishment or a relationship with you. So therefore, they already trust you. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're like
something from scratch,
right? Mm-hmm. Those are the type of people that you really want to be able to help because you personally know them and you genuinely care for them because you already have that established relationship. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the transition to either sell or buy or anything that you may need real estate wise, it makes it a lot easier because there's already that connection, and they already trust you. And the biggest thing is they know that you actually care because of the fact that you are a good person, you have good morals, you have that established relationship. It's a lot harder to build a relationship with someone that you don't know compared to someone that you do know. Mm-hmm. So that to me is really important. What you mm-hmm. had to say.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly. Because I've been asked, why do I need to hire you as my agent? Why you? What's
why
different
you?
About you?
Why would I work with you, Johnathan?
Exactly. You know how many times I get asked that? A lot. Because there is a lot of agents. Mm-hmm. But it's because I can help you, because I care, because I'll get it done, because I will find a way. Dylan right here, I could tell you stories of stuff that I've done up and beyond. I could create a whole list of things of why I'm different from other people. But the only thing that I could say that I can speak of myself is that I genuinely care. Because when you decide to work with us as an agent, I feel like that's like such a strong bond that we become like a family. Like we become like, you can ask any of my previous clients. I talk to my clients regularly. Mm-hmm. I'm letting them know what's going on. Communication is so important. So that relationship is very important. So does every agent have that type of situation? I don't know. I don't know how they do their business, but to answer that question, what I always do is that sincerity is what you're going to get out of me, honesty, care, and I'm going to get the job done. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing. And at the end of the day, that's what people really want to hear. They want to hear that you're going to get it done and that you actually care, that you're not trying to just get a paycheck and you're just not, you're half doing the job or, right. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm not going to force someone to choose me as their agent. That's not the type of person that I am. But I feel like just me answering it honestly, it's what's gotten me where I'm at today.
Yeah.
It's just because people could tell. People could tell when people really actually care.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Going back to the whole, making sure that you have a good foundation in place and having a good financial foundation in place. Like we call it commission breath, where you can tell from a mile away if somebody's coming in and talking to you and the only reason that they're starting a conversation is because they want some money out of it.
Exactly.
It's very easy to tell. And in this business, like Johnathan just said, there are so many hurdles and hoops that you have to jump through sometimes to get a transaction closed. And if money is the only thing that's motivating you to do this, it's going to be a long, rough road. You have to look at it from a caring for people perspective. You just do. And that sounds cliche and frou-frou and all that, but I mean, it's
very true.
It is.
I mean, there's been a lot of situations that I've had to have hours of conversations with clients, of whatever situation that we're going through.
And sometimes it ain't even about real estate.
No.
You're just sitting there listening to what's going on with the family, what's the struggle with. I mean, he said that about being a psychologist earlier. I mean, that's a big part of it.
It's very, very true. So. It goes back to the whole HGTV thing. It's nothing like that. It's not like I go and I just open up a house and I just, I'm just the like if I'm at a museum, I'm like, here's your kitchen. Like they know that's a kitchen. You know, that's not what we do. It is a whole different world that it's involved, and especially not only on the side that you guys visually see, but there's a lot of stuff that us agents do behind closed doors that you will never know about. We talk to attorneys, we talk to inspectors, we talk to lenders. We're like me and my lender, me and him are like this. We talk daily, you know, and it's following up with all that we have, all the business stuff that we have working on. There's a lot of stuff that we do behind the scenes that people have no idea about. That, you know, they're like, oh, well, he only showed me, you know, 5 houses and, you know, he made this much. Like, that's pretty easy. Sorry, but it's not like that.
Yeah, we wish that they were every once in a while.
I know.
But
I've had a few that has been.
He's had a couple.
I've had
where they've went pretty smoothly.
We've
had a couple where they have not gone smoothly at all. We have not even been on the road. They hadn't even been nothing smooth to go on. We've been been this up and down,
been a roller
hanging
coaster.
on the side of a cliff, praying to Jesus that we make it out alive. I mean, there's been some rough ones.
There's been very rough ones.
So, Lord.
But speaking of the rough ones, it doesn't even matter because even though it was rough, we still got it done.
Right.
We still knocked it out the water.
And we learned.
That is the most important thing because, like I said earlier, every transaction, every client has a different story, a different situation, and we were able to attack it, find the source of it, and get it done. And everybody walked away happy. The reviews were great. So at the end of the day, they got the house sold, whatever situation that they needed done, it got done. So I'm beyond thankful. You know, at the end of the day, like, yeah, do I wish every client was easy and and just magical? Of course, but honestly, like, I'm so thankful that it was hard because it builds me, and I consider myself a very strong agent. Because of all the transactions that I did deal with on my first year that typically people probably don't deal with at a first year. So, I'm not saying I'm a vet or I know it all, but I'm just saying like that whole experience put me into a different category because I learned so much because I got hit with a lot at the first year. So I'm thankful. I take the struggle and it's always been that way for me. My life never been easy, and that's what's made me who I am. So I'm blessed.
The thing that I was going to bring up, and this is just another kudos to Johnathan, since this is the Johnathan show for today. Jay is one where sometimes I have to like reel Jay in from what he was talking about going above and beyond to try to get things done. There's a line that we have to be careful of as agents, and this is something that, again, going back to having a coach and having somebody to kind of walk you through things, there's lines.
Call Dylan.
Appreciate it. There's lines that we have to be careful that we don't cross in a real estate transaction, but something that I just want to say about Johnathan is Johnathan goes to the extreme of like that line is like here, and Jonathan's big toe is like up against the end of it right there with all of it because he gets right on the edge of it because he does care and he wants so much for clients and all that. And one thing that I will say, again, from a coaching perspective on that, you have to always make sure that you're being careful to stay in your lane as a real estate agent. And that's why you'll hear us say, like, we jokingly say, like, oh, we're basically attorneys and lawyers and all that different kind of stuff. We're not, though. So we always have to make sure that, like, that you have a line that you draw at a certain point with all of it so that you don't overstep. Because the worst thing that we can do is say, like, oh, this is how something's going to work. And then we get to the for real attorney, and the attorney's like, no, that ain't how that's going to work. Or you talk to your lender, and you're like, oh, they're good. You guys should be able to get this. Your mortgage payment's probably going to be that. Even though you get taught how to do that in real estate school, we ain't quoting nobody's mortgage and what their private mortgage insurance payment's going to be on a monthly basis. Like, that ain't what we do. So we just always have to make sure that we kind of tread lightly with that. But again, Jay goes above and beyond for a lot of his people. I keep bringing that up because I think both of us have such a thing where we're trying to help everybody out that we can that sometimes we do push it to the max where we sometimes have to like pull back. So again, have a coach, have somebody that can help reel you in on that.
So speaking about the coach thing, I want to interrupt real quick about what he said. So the fact that I went up and beyond and did all that stuff, because I care, but let's shout out you because it goes the same way. Now, the reason why I want to say that is because all those moments that he was talking about, the 10 o'clock, writing up offers and doing all that, guess who was helping me? Dylan. I was in the peak program. He was my coach. Highly recommend if you're a new agent or if you're a seasoned agent and you're just kind of not doing very well. I highly recommend to be part of the peak program. I was part of the peak program for a while, and it was an absolute blessing because I learned a lot of what to do's, what not to do's, and just the whole entire experience was just phenomenal. But I would have not been able to do those things if it wasn't for Dylan always being there available to help me. I mean, we've written contracts, I'm not even exaggerating, guys, at 12 o'clock. We have reviewed inspections at 11. You know what I mean? Like, he gets here, around 8 in the morning? Mm-hmm. 8 to 5?
Yeah.
He's here at the office, if you guys didn't know, but he works, like, way over past his time. And he deserves all the recognition because he doesn't just do that for me. He does it for so many other people because he genuinely cares. So when you have a lot of people that genuinely care, things get done.
Right.
And it's hard. It is hard because him having his family and his life and his stuff, and like he's had to write up contracts and go through contracts with me in the car, in drive-throughs. Like, I've had to pull over and do this and do that. I mean, it takes a village. It really does take a village. So I just wanted to say that, Dylan. Like, I appreciate you because I know that you took a lot of your time to help me because you saw how much I care for my people. But it goes to show how much you cared about what you do as a person as well. So, like I said, it goes back to shouting you out. It wouldn't be it. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, Jay.
Always, man.
Okay, I'm not gonna cry. I started to bring Kleenexes in here, but we're good. Okay, so you'll learn that about us. Johnathan don't cry at nothing. I cry every 5 seconds on a daily basis, but like it balances each other out on there. Normally,
this friendship. So because
right.
we've known each other for a long time.
Let's just talk about that.
Yeah, so we've known each
so
other for a long time.
story.
So I used to go to the YMCA all the time. I used to
work at the YMCA.
I was Big Swole, and then he used to be the guy right there, greeting everybody.
Yes, yeah.
So we've known each other a lot. We've talked. There was that connection.
But let's tell it like it is though. Okay, so when we was at the YMCA, all right. So Jay would come in to work out, and Jay is a big, strong man over here. But Jay used to be a big, strong man back in the day on there. Like, let me just tell you, like Jay be coming in, I was like, Lord, if that guy's gonna knock me across the wall if I do something wrong in this place. But he had his daughters in after school, all that kind of stuff. And like we'd say, hey, how you do? And he knew my name, I knew his name, but it wasn't like anything like we was best friends or nothing. So then fast forward, so that would have probably been like 2014 to 2017-ish. So then fast forward through all that, I get through college, I start working at Keller Williams, and I've kind of told my story in another episode, so if you want to go back to like episode 1, you can catch that out. And, just kind of got started into real estate from that way. And then Johnathan just one day comes rolling up in the parking lot and walks in the building and is like, yo, I think I want to get a real estate license. And I'm like, didn't you used to go to the YMCA on a regular basis? And he was like, yeah, didn't you work at the YMCA? And it's like, yeah, here we are. So we got Jay plugged into real estate school, got him through final exams and all that, and then that testing process, I feel like, to me, like, we wouldn't be nearly as close as we are if it honestly wasn't for that. So even though, like, it sucked that you had to go through it, I'm kind of grateful for it at the end
me
of the
too.
day.
Honestly, me too.
But, it took him a while to get through that, and I can still remember, like, when Johnathan would call, and let me just tell you that when I find out that you're thinking about getting into this and you decide, like, hey, KW, I think is where I want to be, I'm going to do everything that I can to help, like, support you and get you up and going from day one, even before you get a license. And so that's basically, like, me taking the risk because, like, I don't even know if you're going to turn into anything or if you're not on there. But I'm willing to fight if you're willing to fight. So with Johnathan, like, he took the state exam the first time or two and didn't exactly go according to plan. I mean, we started doing, like, study sessions. I mean, this man was in here every week, every other week. I mean, we was meeting at night after he'd get off work and everything and just going through, like, here's how you calculate the amortization table, here's how to remember what joint tenancy is and all those different things. And I can still remember, like, when he would call, because again, I put it on my calendar when y'all taking your state exams, so I'd be like, hey man, good morning, hope you have a great day, hope the test goes well, as soon as you get out, like, let me know or whatever. And after the first, like, 3 or 4, like I felt like my kid was like trying out for the cheerleader squad over and over again, and they wouldn't take her. You know, that's kind of where I was at with it, because Jay just kept getting beat down with all of it. And it was funny because I remember, like, again, we're not going to say how many times Johnathan took the exam. We just know that it was a lot. But I remember towards the middle times, like, Johnathan would call me and, like, almost be in tears over it, you know, because he was so frustrated with it. And he did have people that were waiting on him to get his license. You know, he was taking time away from his family. He was taking time away from his kids to, like, try to get all this stuff done and everything. And he would call, and he would be, like, tore up from the floor up. And I'd be like, listen, we are this far into this, and we are not quitting now. Because there was a couple of times when you said you wasn't going back on there in those exams.
Very close.
And I was like, listen, we are not, we ain't quitting on all this. Like, we've invested too much time. You've invested too much time. I've invested too much time. Like, we getting this junk done. Go schedule it again. And then the last couple of times, I remember the second to last one that you took it, I was the one that started crying on the phone because I was just like, oh my God. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do, man, but like, we're going to have to figure something out. And like, I was getting tore up over all of this because, I mean, at that point, when you're hanging out with somebody every single week, you know, for like months on end trying to get something going, like, it's a big thing. So I was getting tore up on the second to last one. And then the day that Johnathan passed, I still remember that phone call from you calling on there. You probably still remember that phone call from calling in on there. I mean, he was calling, like, everybody. And he finally passed. And, like, man, I went and got balloons at the Dollar Tree. I had, like, a cake. I had a card. Like, I mean, he came walking in, and I was like, heck to the freaking yes. Because out of all of them, Johnathan probably takes the record for the ones that I've worked with for how many times we went through the state exam and all that. I mean, it just is what it is. And, yeah, again, Jay is a top producing agent. Like, he kills it. And I just think back and I'm like, what if you would have quit, like, one beforehand? Like, it would have just been like a whole different universe. Like, it makes me sad to think about like what it could have been like with all of it. So
yeah, I was very close from quitting, and honestly, like it goes back to thanking you, because you pushed me to continue to keep trying. And I will say, this is not something that he does just with me, because we built our relationship, you know, through all of that.
That's how we got here.
That's how we got here. Yeah. But it's he does that with everyone. Like he was saying, like, he'll put your name on the whiteboard, and he will
got 3 on my calendar at the end of this month. So y'all just say a prayer if you're watching this before the end of February. So,
but I will say, you know, failing was not an option for me. I made up my goal. I made up my dream, and I knew I was going to be really good at it. And I kept fighting. You know, I had way too many people to depend on. You know, Dylan was saying that, my family, my wife, my kids. There's no way, especially you. It was my wife, my kids, and Dylan, and everything else. Like, you know, I could care less what people think about, about me failing or whatever. But I could not let those people down. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't just say, bro, I give up. Yeah. Like, I you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I was too ashamed.
I wasn't gonna let you.
No, I probably not. You know, right. And you know, my kids, my wife. Like, if I would have, like, there was time. I'm telling y'all, you know, when you think about those moments, it's just like, oh my God, like it was so hard, guys. I can laugh about it now, but trust me, I wasn't laughing back then. But you know, I remember even my kids. You know, I remember them saying like, "Oh, dang, Dad, really? Oh, but hey, you got it next time. You know, you got it next." Like, I remember, you know, my oldest, Kyla, Chloe, Riley, you know, my wife, Rafa, like, they just kept pushing me. They said, just keep studying. Just, you're so close. You're so close. You're so close. And you know, you're like, I swear to God, if it wasn't for my support system of my family and my man Dylan, I wouldn't be where I'm at. It's just, I would have given up. I would have just said, you know, screw it. Because, guys, it is hard. Mm-hmm. It is not easy. Now, does everybody take the same amount of times as I did? Probably not. But don't judge me, you know. You know, don't judge me.
Because that test don't mean nothing at the end of the day.
It doesn't, because...
And that's the other thing. Like, and I tell people that all the time, because, like, that... It is very rare that you go and take that test on the first try and pass it on there. Now, your boy went and took it on the first try and he passed it. But anyways, so that's not the norm. And that test at the end of the day doesn't really mean anything. Like, we have agents who went and taken that thing and made 100 and, like, passed it with flying colors, and they struggle to get a real estate business up and off the ground. We have agents who have taken that thing many, many times, and they kill it. like 1 month into all of it. So don't let a state exam, a multiple choice test, tell you anything about what you're going to be able to do, what you're not going to be able to do, because that's all a bunch of fake stuff, fake news with all that. So don't let that get you down on anything. Just a good guy, Jay. I just think back because like.
We've been through a lot,
we
guys.
Just have
like,
been.
You just,
you don't know.
I don't think we
there's
can.
There's not enough time.
There's
like,
not.
I'd run out of storage on my phone.
There's
we got
just
through
not.
Everything.
It's a lot, guys. Like we've been through a lot. Whenever you work with someone and you talk to someone daily, because me and Dylan were literally talking every single day. About the business and about transactions I had going on, or the test, or life, or just everything. Like this guy right here, we've been through a lot, and we've grown so much throughout the time. And this is my guy right here. If anybody is wanting to get the real estate license or is wanting to think about getting the real estate license, I've sent Dylan a few people already. I highly recommend for you to reach out to Dylan. He is just just a great person. Just a phenomenal person. Has a great heart and he cares, and that's what you need on your side. But yeah, maybe what we should do, Dylan. We should do one day. We should do another episode of just some crazy experiences. I think people would love to see. Like some of the crazy stuff that we have dealt with, just to prove a point that HGTV is not what we do. It's not. We don't walk around suits and ties and and open up the door. Maybe some agents, those luxury ones, but here in the Gville, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that.
There's been a lot. There's been a lot, especially with Jay. Jay has a knack for finding the ones that are a lot. So if you're watching this and you're one of Johnathan's clients, let me just tell you, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Keep doing business. Keep sending him business. But some of y'all been rough. So, but we made it through. We made it through all that. This is a good one. What's been some of your biggest wins that you would say, not just financially, but what's some of the biggest wins that you've had in your first year-ish in real estate?
I think the biggest win is making the people around me proud. I think that's probably the biggest win. Mm-hmm. The fact that my kids see their dad doing well. They see that I'm a top producer. I'm in the top 20, that my name and my signs and my team and everything is being recognized. Mm-hmm. I know that makes me so proud. My wife, sharing my stuff, talks about my stuff, and I could see the happiness that brings to her life to see that I'm crushing it, I'm doing well. It's the people, people that know Dylan, I'm sure he probably tells these new agents my stories. And
Baby J is my poster child of how all this comes into play with all
so
of it.
I think the people that I was wanting to not let down, the biggest achievement is the fact that I have proved them right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've proved them right because they knew that I had the potential in me to do it, and I was able to do it, and I was able to crush it, and I was able to do what we all thought I was able to do. So I think that's probably the most proud moment for me, for sure. That's probably the most proud moment for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So Johnathan just literally has been like such a huge support for me as much as I have been for him. And like, I think that a lot of times we come into work or into business and now we're focused on the production, we're focused on getting stuff done, but we don't realize what else that there is outside of that. And, like just having people that genuinely care and like want the best for you and that, you want the best for them, it just like really shows. And I get emotional about stuff on a daily basis. So like I said, Johnathan knows he's used to me crying on the phone all the time. So, and all the rest of them, they're in productivity coaching RT. But it just really makes my heart so happy to see people winning, especially people that I feel like I've had a little tiny part in because like
huge part.
No, I have not had a huge part in nothing.
Huge.
Jay goes out and get the business. I just help.
Oh yeah, no, don't get it twisted now.
Yeah.
We outside, baby.
Right, exactly.
We outside.
Exactly.
But no.
Jay goes and finds everything on his own. I just help him get it to the finish line every once in a while with all of it. But, it's just, you just don't come into real estate thinking, like, about what all you actually can get out of it. And I can say that not about just like Johnathan. Like, there's so many people in this industry where if I didn't have them, like, it would be really hard to make it through some of the stuff that we've made it through. 2025 was a very miserable year, like really, really miserable. And it just makes me really thankful to have like people like him that's in and around and like doing all the things. And then on top of that, just to be able to see like what they're able to accomplish and what they're able to get done, it just makes all of it worth it. And to me, like that stuff is worth more than like any paycheck or any money is ever going to be worth. And that's why like at the time that we're filming this, I'm working on transitioning into full-time coaching. We just officially made that announcement like yesterday for the office and everything.
Let's go.
And so, which is scary for me and, like stepping out and, doing something different with all of it. But that's just where my passion really is, like helping people and like genuinely like caring and like wanting the best for them out of all of it. Because like Johnathan said, the way that coaching works on there, just to throw the financial side out of it, like we make like 5 to 10% off of whatever their commission is. So like when Jay was in productivity coaching, if Jay made $10,000, we as a coach makes $500 when it's all said and done on all of it. So just to put the numbers into perspective, and yet we're there in the trenches the whole way through on all of it, like Johnathan said. And not all coaching programs work like that, and I've realized that over time, the more that I've been around like other programs and how everything else works, not just within Keller Williams, but outside of the industry. When you go through everything that you've gone through to get to this point, and especially like Jonathan's prime example of that, because we went through so much just to get him to the point of where he legally could sell real estate, we're going to make sure that it happens. So if that means that we're writing a contract at midnight, guess what? We're writing a contract at midnight, and we ain't doing it every night of the week, so don't get your hopes up. But if it's something that needs to get done on there, like we're going to make sure that it gets done. So, yeah, okay, I'm going to just suck it up and not be a little emotional butterfly anymore. But, okay.
Y'all just don't realize, like, it's been a journey, guys.
It has.
It's been a journey, and I'm just that this is the most realest, raw that you see of both of us. Like I said, I was not prepared of what's being asked. I'm freestyling it.
And I specifically tried to pick questions so that we wouldn't end up with me like tearing up on all of this. But we're fine. We're good. We're good. Jay took it out on his own, so we good. Okay. Back to business. Okay, this one's around like mindset types of things, and mindset in this business is very, very important because you are the business owner at the end of the day. Jonathan doesn't have somebody that's calling and saying like, hey man, you up? Well, some days he does. But he normally does not have a boss that's calling him saying like, hey, did you clock in? You out doing what you need to do? Are you turning this stuff in? You have to be self-motivated to get up and want to do this, and you have to be the one to go out and get the business. We will lead you to the water, but you have to be willing to drink it when you get there. So what are some things that you do to stay motivated, or when a deal falls apart, or when a situation doesn't go according to plan? What are some of the things that you do to keep your mind in the game?
Consistency is key. It's all in your head, it's all in your mind, it's in your desire. It's if you want it. If you want it, it's out there. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, that there's plenty of business for everybody, but it's about how you perceive it and how you want it. You got to stay hungry. If you don't stay hungry, you're going to be left out. Because in this type of industry, in this type of world that we live in, when especially for us agents, we don't get paid until the closing. Mm-hmm. So we could be, out there doing all these things, and it could not even close, and we didn't make nothing out of that. So you have to stay consistent. You have to stay hungry on what you guys want to do. It's very easy to lose track and not stay consistent or hungry whenever you have met a certain number that you've wanted to meet, or you've made a certain quota, whatever it may be, but you just have to be consistent. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that I have to continue to tell myself, that I'm still not satisfied. I personally have a goal for myself, for my business, for my family. So that alone, it motivates me on a daily basis, mm-hmm. because I'm not going to be satisfied until I meet that quota. And it's there's so many families and people that I want to be able to help. There's so many friends of mine that are renting that it drives me crazy. Or I have friends that have been living in their house for so long, and I'm like, dude, we got to sell this. Like, this is why. This is how I benefit. Like, there's just so much out there that I still want to be able to do. I have so many close friends that I still haven't been able to help. And we're waiting on a couple things, but those are the people I really, really want to, like, target more this year. Like, I helped a lot of friends, don't get me wrong, last year, but like I said, I have a goal, I have a dream. I have a dream of expanding the brand, of expanding myself. That's what keeps me motivated. It's just the hunger. Yeah. The desire.
Yeah. I think something, I'll jump in on helping him answer this question too. One thing about Johnathan, from a mindset perspective, there's things that you do though to keep your head in the game in the midst of all of it. Yes, the dreams and everything and that too. But like, I can't tell you how many videos that this man sends me that's like, mindset, motivation, podcast, just something to listen to that's like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. I think both of us from the past year too, from a physical health
and mental.
We are half the men that we used to be, and let's just leave it at that.
Yeah,
so, but I mean, even that, like, I think that's a big part too. I know for me, and I think for you as well.
Yeah.
Like, just having time to like get out, be active, and to unplug from all of this. Which now Jonathan's normally running on the treadmill and answering emails. I choose not to be answering emails when I'm in there in the gym, but I'm also fighting for my life to pull in oxygen. So, like, those are little things that makes a difference, and you have to have a time where you can disconnect. And I think that's another important thing to bring up too. And that, for me, one of the things that I really had to work a lot with Johnathan on when he was getting started. And I have the same issue, but it's easier to give advice to somebody from the outside looking in, is to have a stopping point on things. Because this is a business where it is very, very easy to get so sucked in that all you do is real estate. And that's all you live, eat, sleep, and breathe. And if that's what you want to do, then that's great. But when you have other people, when you got a family, when you got kids, when you got stuff going on, you cannot be a real estate agent 24/7 every single hour of the day. And I think when you have people that are like Johnathan, where they come at it from such a like service perspective, like I can remember phone calls telling him like, turn your phone off. This is not the time where you have to answer them. If somebody calls you or texts you, you do not have to jump right that second. Now, obviously, we want to give service. We want to do the best that we can. But if Jay's out on date night with Rafa and they going out to eat, he don't need to be answering and negotiating a contract right there. They can hang on for an hour and he can get back to him afterwards with all of it, Like there's a line that has to be drawn with some of it. And again, I'm talking to myself too, because we joke about writing contracts at midnight and everything. And there are times in this business where situations have to happen. If due diligence is ended at midnight and it's 11:30 and we got to get it done.
It's not like we chose to do that.
Right, like we getting it done with all of it. And yet it's also easy to get into the habit of like, oh, well, I'm just going to work every single second of every single day because that's what I feel like I'm supposed to do. No, that is not part of it. And that's a big thing for me. And I think after this past year that I've had, that's one of the reasons why we're making these decisions to try to transition out of some of the things that we're juggling right now, because this is just not realistic for us to go 100 miles an hour from sun up until sundown all the time. So just a piece of advice coming into this business, if you're getting started, make sure that you have a way to set some boundaries in place and have somebody that will call you out on it. He calls me out on it as much as I call him out on it. Both of us do, because both of us work 100 miles an hour all the time.
All the time.
And
what Dylan says is very true, because to this day I still kind of struggle with it, just because of the fact that like I just genuinely really care. I really want to give good customer service. I want to get things done. I'm not the type of person that, I'll wait later to like I don't wait. Like I get stuff done right away. If something needs attention, I'm on it. Like if I need to call an HOA company because we need to figure out, what the yearly rate is because on the community association disclosure is not properly filled out right, I will find the answer to it. Like I am just that way. Now, what Dylan says is very true. You have to be able to limit and have, time for yourself. Mm-hmm. my wife, my kids, you know, they tell me all the time, like, man, you're always on the phone. Man, you're always on the phone. You're always on the phone. And at this point, you know, they're kind of more like adapted to it. They're more like used to it. But it is something that I am trying to work on.
I think he's also gotten better at it.
I have gotten a lot better, yes. You know, if it's not an emergency, I'm not going to hurry up and you know, worry about sending it. You know, but if it's something that needs my attention,
right? Needs attention, we're going to get it done.
But
and yet, not everything is an emergency. There's no emergencies in real estate, and it's a matter of fact, because even if the house is burning down, like that ain't something that your real estate agent's going to be able to help you with. That's what 911's for.
Right.
So you just have to work to put healthy boundaries in place, and that's talking to both of us and saying that. So.
Yeah, I think on a mental perspective, I think you know, especially last year, because you were talking about mindset, you know, I feel like if your head is not clear, your mind is not where it needs to be, it's going to be really hard for you to be able to process that tranquility to other people that their mindsets are kind of wonky. So you're just dealing with a bunch of... Everybody's stressed out. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, having your mindset, you know, what he was talking about, podcasts and YouTube videos. I love to listen to YouTube videos about mindset, tranquility, growing, emotionally, mentally, physically. I used to listen to a lot of music back in the day, but like nowadays, like if you're in the car with me, like I'm typically listening to a YouTube video, you know, listen to one of my favorite people because they, honest to God, it's made me a better man for sure. Mm-hmm. So yeah, mindset, most definitely very, very important.
Yeah, 100%. If you were talking to somebody who was brand new, just walked in from their state exam, what advice would you give them?
Run. No, I was playing.
Oh, please.
I was playing. No. Give them a big old hug and say welcome. No, the biggest thing, the best advice that I would give them is just not to give up. You know, to stay consistent, to stay hungry. You have to realize that in our business, our main goal is to help people. So you have to find the people that you think that you're able to help. May it be, you know, to sell their home because they're, you know, financially struggling, or they have a home that they have an amazing amount of equity in. It would be super smart for them to upgrade their home and use that equity and build another home, and they're just building their equity even more. I mean, it just really depends on the situation, but my biggest advice is that you just have to stay consistent. You have to stay consistent. You have to trust the process, and you have to just be yourself. Have patience, because it is a patience game, like he was saying. Like, if you're able to have a good support system, it's going to be something very important to have. Highly recommend to be part of the Peak program, part of the coaching program with Dylan and Teresa, because it's going to be one of the biggest things that's going to really benefit these new agents to be able to learn, because on this test, they don't teach you how to write contracts. They don't teach you how to do all these things that the actual Peak program does. So that's probably the biggest thing is what I would tell a new agent. It's just, and also, do not compare yourself to others, which means whatever I did, whatever so-and-so did, don't be like, well, you know, he did this, why can't, you know, I'm not any better of another agent that hasn't had as many transactions as me. That doesn't make me a better person. Don't think like that. Don't ever put yourself low. Always think high of yourself. Always be strong in positivity. Positivity, very important, and hungry. And go outside.
That's it.
Because the business is outside.
100%.
Because we outside.
Absolutely.
You know the vibes.
Just some like...
I mean, you know.
Nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy.
Lord. All right. Anything else you want to add, Jay?
Big things coming in 2026, guys. Dylan's working on a bunch of new projects, a bunch of new dreams and goals. I'm working on a bunch of new projects and goals as well. I'm very excited for what me and him are about to be doing. We're about to start investing soon. Me and my man, you know the vibes.
Lord, we went and saw one. We could have a full episode on just what we saw in the second house that we went in to look at. But,
yeah, so you're going to be seeing our names a lot more, guys. Stay tuned. We have big.
We may be coming to HGTV too.
We might.
You may be comparing your life to HGTV, and it be me and Baby J sitting up there on that screen.
That would be
Cortez
awesome.
and Duke on there.
Let's go.
Lord.
But other than that, you know, I appreciate you for having me. I appreciate for all the kind words.
I got you.
You know, this is my guy. It's my A1. You know, this guy is just a true blessing for me, for my family, for my business. Like I said, if you guys are really interested in wanting to become a real estate agent, contact my man Duke. This guy is an absolute stud. He knows all the ins and outs. I don't think there has been not one time that I have asked him a question and he'd be like, honestly, bro, I don't know. I'll get back to you. I don't think that's ever even came out of his mouth. But if it did, he will figure the answer out. So it goes to show how much knowledge this man has in that big old brain of his. So he is such an amazing coach, but most importantly, such an amazing friend. I couldn't be more blessed to have met him. He has changed my life, changed my family's life, changed everything about me as a person. You know, I just beyond thankful. Just beyond thankful to be here. And guys, if there is any agents out there that are wanting to personally ask me questions, I've had agents reach out to me and you know, be like, hey, you know, Dylan said this and that, you know, and I'm always there, guys, you know, to cheer you on. I don't see it as a competition like, oh my God, this guy's gonna take my business. Like you said, you got your people, I have mine. There's just so much out there, guys, for us to be able to help each other out. And that's the end goal, you know. Like, I want everybody to win, and I really do. I truly mean that. So if you guys are wanting to reach out, you know, and ask me anything, feel free to do that. And can't wait to get more people up and going. So we're excited. Like I said, 2026 is going to be a big year for us.
We're getting it fixed in 26.
We're getting it fixed in 26. We're killing it at the gym. So mentally, we're already there. Mentally, physically, man, we about there. You know, we about there.
Yeah,
you know,
some of us have further to go than others, but
we about there.
We getting there.
Then, you know, and then faith, man, hunger, all that stuff. It's there. It's there in our hearts. We genuinely care. We genuinely want to do this for everyone's sake. So we're gonna rocket ship.
Rocket ship.
That's right.
Spaceman.
Taking
Mars
off.
Man.
But other than that, I appreciate you so much, Dylan, for taking the time. And guys, comment below if you guys want to see some more crazy stuff of ours and some stories. You know, we'll love to tell y'all some stories because it's been a journey.
I'm gonna have to go buy some more storage on my cell phone for all that, but we'll get it going. We'll get it going
for
sure. It's been real good. So thanks for coming in, Jay. I always appreciate you. You
of course.
You a good one. Couldn't have a better bestie if I picked one. So.
That's right. Likewise.
Good deal. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in on this one. Hope you'll see us again for our next episode of Chillin' with Dylan. We'll have some more cool stuff heading your way. Like Johnathan said, if you have any questions about real estate, buying, selling, coaching, investing, you name it, what the rate at Crunch Fitness is down the road, call us. We'll get you in there. We'll get it going on there. So we appreciate you. Comment below. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, do all the things, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Holla.
You know the vibes.
Call Cortez. You know the vibes.
That's it.